Hi everyone from sunny Lisbon. I hope wherever you are, you're also enjoying nice weather. The summer is coming. And today we're going to be talking about super exciting topic. It is really close and dear to my heart. So I'm looking forward to kickstart it. Thank you all for coming here today and finding time in your busy schedules to be with us.
Yes, absolutely. It's such a big ask, isn't it? Hey, everyone, stop what they're doing and come listen to what TestRail is saying, is shipping. It's a big ask, so we do really appreciate everyone joining. Folks are still coming in. But yeah, let's start today's webinar. Like we've heard, I'm joined by Katrina, our AI product manager. If you've been attending our now monthly webinars, you've been seeing a whole lot of us. We've been talking about some of the latest AI features that TestRail has been releasing. Just to quickly recap, because I want to make very clear of what this theme is about and what is not about. So if you've been paying attention to our releases and our AI features, more specifically, we've shipped the capability to generate test cases with AI and automating test cases with AI. And today, although we'll talk about AI, evaluating AI, we're talking about evaluating AI features that your team is building and shipping to users. So if your product has a chatbot or a recommendation engine or AI-powered search, anything there where the output is generated by a model, this is what we're going to be talking is testing whether the output is actually good. So traditional testing is going to be asking, does this work? Pass, fail, green, red. And AI testing requires a little bit more granularity, like how good is it across different dimensions like accuracy, relevance, safety, and other things. And that's a very different question and needs a different framework. And that's what we've built, and that's what we'll be talking about. So evaluating AI the right way, guided by something we've built into the tool. And that's kind of just a segue into what we're here to talk about today. And without further ado, Katrina, I'll keep sharing the screen, but I'll let you introduce the topic and run with it.
Thank you, Joao. Thank you so much. And for those of you who just joined, thank you for joining and finding the time. My name is Katrina, and I'll be presenting to you the webinar today, mostly. Just for those who doesn't know, I have a QA background myself, and I have been working in QA with different roles for over 8 years before I transitioned to PM. And being a product manager, I did miss testing. And when AI came to play, I absolutely loved it. Not just because it's a very exciting and interesting technology to work with as a product manager, but also it allowed me to go back to testing and do AI evals. And so this topic is very dear to my heart. And today we're going to be learning about what is AI evals, what actually makes it interesting to test AI, how to define the quality for AI product or feature or functionality, and how to evaluate it at scale. And then I will show you in practice what we've baked in TestRail to help you to do just that. When it comes to AI, it's a very, very cool technology to test. From my personal experience and my preferences, I like a challenge. I like difficult features. When I was a tester, the harder the testing, the more exciting I would get about it. And so with it being very non-deterministic and less predictable, it makes it so much fun to test because you can literally put the same input 3, 4, 5 times and you will get different output each times. You add one more variable into the mix and it just totally changes the output. So it's not just like, hey, I press buy with PayPal button and then I bought it with a PayPal. It's much more multidimensional than this, and this is what makes it very exciting. And as a PM, I also love to run evals on our AI features, and it just genuinely also produces a lot of challenges in terms of typical QA workflows and processes, and especially when it comes to, hey, can you estimate how long it will take you to test this AI feature? There's been a few people reaching out on LinkedIn to me, asking me how do we scope our AI features, how we define how long something is going to take to test. And we will talk about this as well. And yeah, it's just so different, and different AI systems requires different ways of evaluating them. And we will talk about that as well. So it's really cool stuff. For what actually AI evals means for those folks who are still getting to know it, or maybe just hearing this topic for the first time, or maybe want to just understand a little bit more about it. So typically AI evals can be approached in different ways. You can start with your favorite exploratory testing. I love to start my testing with exploratory testing because I feel like it just gives me the feel for the feature. It gives me the feel for how it behaves. And with AI, it's very similar because AI system can have different characters. When you're talking to Claude, it has a certain character. When you switch into ChatGPT and using GPT 5.5 model, it has a totally different character. It answers differently, it queries into you differently. And it's the same if you're testing a chatbot or anything to do with natural language querying. And so I like to start with exploratory testing, and then I just kind of get a sense of it all and push the boundaries a little bit, try a little bit of edge cases, try a little bit of negative testing, go into bias, compliance, like all of this very interesting hot topic. And of course, prompt injection. Which tester doesn't like to break the system? It's a number one rave we usually do thrive on. And why does it matter? Well, it matters because these systems are so non-deterministic. There is a non-deterministic input and non-deterministic output. And so the scope is actually probably never ending, right? And so you need to find the balance of deciding what is good enough for you in the context of your AI powered feature or AI first product, right? What is an end user? What is an end goal? There could be also very specialized AI systems, for example, medical or maybe compliance, maybe law, and you might not even necessarily be able to say if the output is valid or not. So all of this conversation needs to happen when you're in the planning phase, and it's often recommended for to invite an industry specialist to help you with AI evals. So all of us student QE teams are sharing this responsibility, not just between amongst themselves, but also amongst of industry standards experts. So for example, you would probably, if your AI system evaluating blood test results, you might want to invite somebody who actually has a medical degree and the background in doing blood tests and evaluating them so that they can run these qualitative evaluations on the output of your AI system that helps you with evaluating blood test results. So it becomes this shared responsibility across multiple different domains, which is fun because you all of a sudden not just a QA who finds the functional issues, but you also might will start learning the new topics and new interest and stuff as well as you work along those specialists. Like I said, there could be some very specific quantifiable dimension that you want to mention. For example, does it do blood test result accuracy and it is a medical grade responses that people can trust and it's error free? It could be also biased. It could be compliance. So many different dimensions you can bake into it, but it ultimately depends on what good means to you. And then you can say, okay, if it does all of those dimensions that I want to check, then how do I score those dimensions? And that's what makes it very different from the traditional testing. So we will talk about it a bit more in the details later. Actually, this project is very close to our heart and my heart because, as you know, TestRail has released the first AI feature to generate test cases with AI. And of course, we had to do AI evals ourselves. So we started brainstorming with our QE team. How do we evaluate? What do we want to measure? Of course, we wanted to measure, for example, that whatever requirements customer shares, it is honored and represented correctly in the outputs by AI. So relevance to specifications, it was the actionability, the clear steps to act, it would cover edge cases and things like that. So there was a multidimensional scale that we had, and we basically started ranking each one of them. But to add to the mix, because you also have like different type of requirements, you can have requirements which are more technical, requirements which are less technical, requirements that are written well, requirements that are not written well. And so there is this like the scope just started expanding and expanding and expanding. And then also add to the mix, we were evaluating different LLM models. Back then, I remember it was like Gemini Flash, it was mini models from OpenAI, it was a few models from Anthropic, it was few models from Amazon. We just had so many different models because we wanted to see that it acts and meets our good standards for to go on all those quality dimensions across 5 or 6 models using the same system prompts and the same user prompts. In this case, it was requirements, for example. So we tried everything. We had spreadsheets, we had lang views where we had traces with input and output. We had also test cases written in a TestRail. So all of it was completely disjointed and scattered around. And it was very difficult for me as a PM to make a decision, go or no go. And so that's when we got together with our QE team, and my gratitude extends to them because they helped us to shape what I'm about to show you. So it's built by QA for QA, and I hope you will find it useful and enjoyable to use as much as we do now. Because today we are using our new AI evaluation template that we specifically designed and built and released in 10.3 for you to enjoy as well. And it solves all of these problems. It's no longer scattered, it's all centralized with the clear go no go decisions made using our new dashboards as well. And yeah, I already kind of say this, Joao. But here we are. What we've built is we've built a new AI evaluation template. It is purposely built with AI in mind, but we also realized that we started adopting it for doing stress testing, load testing, security testing, because it has this new result field, which is quality rating. And it's a multidimensional scoring system. We used a star metric, so you can score something between 1 to 5 stars to evaluate how well AI outputs perform across different criterias, or you can score security or load or performance. Or for example, if you are in cosmetics industry or clothes industry or anything that requires you to test something more than just pass and fail, but on the multidimensional criteria, this quality rating for login results is your number one goal, I think. It will definitely help you to add this extra insights into the overall testing outcome. And of course, all of that will be consolidated in the new quality insights dashboards, where you will be able to compare how does my model A scored versus model B using and executing the same test against the same system prompt and the same data. And you will be able to even identify some of the issues that needs to be addressed within your system prompts. But I will talk more about it when I will be doing live demo for you, just in a tick.
Yeah. We are setting that up. I'll stop sharing my screen so you can do the live demo, Katrina. I just want to bring attention to this two things. So you mentioned something important that I haven't gotten to, which is this AI evaluation template is coming with the next release, 10.3, that we're rolling out this and next week. So it's going to come to you very soon. I wanted to spend just a little bit more time on this quality rating because a few of attendees that answered the poll we had a few slides back did share that they don't test AI currently. And so this is something that we're really excited about because this quality rating ships as part of the AI evaluation template, but it works on any template inside TestRail. When you think about what it actually does, and Katrina was alluding to, is a multidimensional configurable quality scoring. And so the use cases go well beyond AI. So if you're not testing AI, this field, this quality rating is also very interesting for you. I was thinking of a scenario for security testing where you have the team runs penetration tests against a new API release. And the tests cover like authentication bypass, input injection, rate limiting, data exposure, a few other things. And the pass fail tells whether the vulnerability is there, it exists, but the security team will need to assess a couple of other things like the severity of the issue, right? The exploitability, remediation, complexity, and things like that. So those aren't necessarily binary. You have judgment calls to make. And with this quality rating, you configure a couple of those dimensions that I mentioned. And Katrina is going to walk us through an example here. But just to think about when you go from a spreadsheet of findings, like Katrina was saying, like it's a little bit scattered, to now having a structured, trackable quality signal that has all of this granularity. So think about it that quality rating was built purposely for AI because that's where we found that the need was there more urgent, but you can expand it and design it to any other domain that is more important to you and it requires, more human judgment aspect to it. With that said, Katrina, you're sharing your screen. We're seeing the template live. Take it away.
Yeah,
Appreciate you.
thank you, Joao. Thank you, Joao. So yes, we have by default already AI evaluation template, and you can configure it in any other normal ways that you do your templates today. That nothing has changed really. What we have done is we've introduced two new case field results for AI type and AI model, and they do come with predefined values, for example, RAG, ML, and LLM, but you can actually change those values to anything you want. And it's the same for model. So whatever LLM or ML model or embedding model, could be any models that you test in, you want to do, you can also easily change them and define the values in your customization if you have admin access rights. One new and exciting is result fields. So we've introduced this quality rating and the type is rating. And you also able to either edit existing one that comes out of the box. And here you can see I have specified the dimensions based on the example that I will be presenting to you, which is test and chatbot. And of course, for the chatbot, one of the quality criteria would be context handling, functional correctness, actionability, factual accuracy, answer quality, relevance to the user intent, and compliance. But there could be other ones. We support up to 15, so fill your boots. And then, of course, if you create a new template or the new field, you can choose this quality rating and recycle it for any other testing templates that you have or anything else that you do. Here is the rating. And let me just show you the rating in action. So I set an example already ready for you with the project chatbot, and I have the test cases inside the chatbot, which I split into what I like to think of just a theme. So when it comes to testing non-deterministic systems, and particularly the chatbot, and this is not all themes, but I just picked a few. For example, getting the information from the chatbot, troubleshooting and problem solving, personalization and context awareness, multi-turn task collaboration, and edge cases. So multi-turn task collaboration is very important if you have a memory context inbuilt into your chatbot. So this is just for the presentation purposes for those who might just enter in this new realm of AI evals. I prefer to separate our tests and AI evals into themes because then it's just easier to measure and review the quality insights per theme, because it will help us to understand where our system prompts or some part of the AI systems that we have designed has the weakest spots, and so we can focus on fixing that before the release. And I already generated the test run for the chatbot version 1. And for example, you can see already that I have the quality ratings done. So some of the tests have passed and some of the tests that failed. And you can see that the quality rating is done by the categories I showed you previously in customization. So here is a context handling, functional correctness, and actionability, and so on. So this is very useful because as a QA manager or lead on a project, I can come in and I can actually inspect and have a look what went wrong in a specific test that was executed. And if I want to add the results, for example, here, we have made another improvement. We made this pop-up much larger and bigger. It's not as tiny as it was before, and we have changed it slightly. And here you can see we still keep typical pass, retest, failed block, or whatever statuses you used in your instance. You will be able to add the comment. Typically, it's called in AI vals critique. So you would add a critique that will explain exactly what your thoughts are on the output. You can capture your input. So here it could be user prompt. It could be the variables that you choose alongside of your prompt. And you can capture the output. So in chatbot example, the input would be my natural language query to the chatbot to ask it, I don't know, how do I book hotel X? And then the output would be how the chatbot responded to me. And then I will be able to rate the response that AI, or it could be machine learning algorithm, whatever your AI solution is, it's very customizable and adjustable because you can change those quality rating dimensions. And I can say, okay, context handling, I can rate it differently, apply those stars. The traces URL is typically, in our case, we use LangFuse for traces, so you can add the traces to the LangFuse. And this is helpful if you have developers pulling the results and then they get the results with a link to the LangFuse trace, so they can actually go and investigate what went wrong and fix the system prompt or adjust it, for example, if needed. Another important value when you do typically AI tests and AI evals is the latency. And latency can, you can also customize it and add dimensions. You can do latency of your application, latency of actual model provider, and so on. So you can identify where the bottlenecks in your latency is, and if it's your inside your system that you have control over, maybe you can talk to your developers and see how you can improve it. But if it's on a model provider, maybe it's a signal to switch the provider. So for example, let me just add it here. And then once I add the result, it gets logged. And if you use this new result field for quality rating, you will see the new quality insights dashboards appearing here. And if you go on it, you will see your average quality score for that particular test run. And as you can see, I have run 86% of my tests, and 30 of 35 have recorded results. I've judged my AI output across 7 different categories, and I have applied 195 total ratings against this test run. And the overall score is 3.1, so not great, right? So now let's dive into and see what actually went wrong. And I can see that I have a lowest rating on context handling, functional correctness, answer quality, and factual accuracy. This signal tells me that there might be a problem with RAG and how it's implemented and how embeddings are stored in a vector store, how it's actually, and for those who might not be familiar with this topic, so say, for example, if my chatbot has been trained on my existing documentation, and for LLM to understand my documentation, I would run those files through the embedding model that will split them into embeddings and store it into vector stores that then LLM consumes. So those signals is very important to see and spot, because you can actually have some sort of guess as a non-technical PM or QA and understand that, there is something wrong with how the data is being, what type of data and quality that's been consumed by an LLM. So you can go back to the drawing board and talk to your AI engineer about it. And I can see that compliance is really good. It doesn't expose any PI data. It doesn't expose anything that I don't want it to expose, which means that the data cleansing at the data ingestion pipeline has been done correctly, for example, and things like that. Filter also allows you to do really cool stuff. Say if you are evaluating the same tests, but across different LLM models, you will be able to, okay, I want to see how is GPT 5.5 performed. And it tells me it's 3.3. Okay, I want to compare it to, for example, Gemini and see how that goes, and it's 3.1. So they're very close to each other, a little bit different. So it also tells me that it's not perhaps an LLM or the data set it was trained on. It's actually something wrong inside my system. I can also do the same on the sections or even AI type. If I'm evaluating RAG separately to LLM, I will be able to filter per those. I can filter per latency, and also the specific quality rating that I want to do. Or in my case, because I like to split the tests per themes when I do AI evals, I can actually have a look, how does it perform when I do a multi-turn task collaboration? And there was no there was no tests executed for this part specifically, but you get the idea. It's kind of very useful to do this stuff. Let's find maybe get an information section. And here we go, it's 2.3 out of 5. So getting information plus lower scores on the context itself is a very high indicator that there is an issue at the RAG pipeline. So here we are. This is a cool bit of it all. You can actually click one more thing on the category itself, and it will show you just tests that were scored against this category. And of course, if you want to export your quality report, you can do it via PDF, you can email it or print inside. The beautiful thing about it, you only have to do a very minimal setup and it's already ready for you. And I really hope that you will enjoy using it, and you will find it helpful like we do in our processes, because these dashboards now tells the story so much deeper and so much faster to me as a QA and to our QA as a PM and our QA leaders on the teams, that we can make actual decisions much faster, whether AI is ready to go or identify where our system struggles a bit and need a little bit of a facelift.
Thanks. Thank you, Katrina. I cannot wait to see how people are going to be using this tool. Both the AI eval templates and the quality rating itself would be awesome to have feedback from folks. Those who are still not testing AI that are going to be looking at the quality rating field and taking it for their own purposes, that'll be really interesting to find out. We have just a couple more slides for you.
You can get started with this template straight away, already out of the box. You just click create a test case, you choose your eval template, and no workflow changes needed. The only thing that you would need to adjust if you is AI model if you still want to use it, or the type of AI system under test, or maybe introduce your own custom fields. It's totally customizable as any other template, so you can add fields, you can remove fields. Apart from rating, you cannot do that. So it's fully customizable. And then you just run and rate, I just showed you, and review your quality insights on the dashboards. It is available from TestRail 10.3 version, both for cloud and server customers. And yes, one more really cool thing. So I know a lot of people talk about using LLM as a judge to speed up the evaluation of AI, especially when you have a team of QA engineers. They can get the boilerplate going with really nice defined test cases and evaluation metrics and so on. But when you switch from, for example, the model, right? Because we know new models releases so frequently now, it's very difficult to stay up to date. And so people often would use LLM as a judge, and they will train another model to evaluate the other model using already defined test cases inside the TestRail, for example, and the previous scoring against the results. And this is where you can use our existing APIs to integrate into your AI tool stack, or to your custom agents if you want to, or LLM as a judge. So you can create and run evals programmatically. For the next, we are extending support of this new exciting feature into CLI. We estimate the release on a CLI in about a month. The team is already working on integrating it. So for those of you who are using CLI, good news, it's coming soon.
And I think you covered everything. Thank you. A really, really special session. I was trying to answer a few of the questions while you were chatting. We have quite a bit of time to go through some questions. I'm
Sure.
just going to pull up. Feel free to jump on any that speaks to you.
So Dan asked the question for adding result dialog with status field contain some variation for probably passed with percentage. You can already include this percentage using existing custom case fields if this is what you want to have on top of what we offer today. I don't think there is any constraints there. Yes, so creating test cases using TestRail AI feature, upload the document. We don't have it planned anytime soon because we are working on something better. I'm just gonna say that. And that beta will support it. What AI models does TestRail use? Is it something? Yeah, so it's not a secret. We don't hide it anywhere. It's in our documentation. We use Gemini models for our features. Okay, if our organization is skeptical of the value AI adds to testing until it has been proven out, will we continue to use TestRail in the traditional legacy mode? This is very interesting question because there is a certain topics that scare people away from using AI, especially from testing. And one of them is, of course, generating content using AI and don't check it, right? Just to kind of skip in the corner. We have this release, AI generated test cases. I'm just going to go ahead and execute them, or AI automated things for me and created a spaghetti code because I didn't prompt it right and so on. So there are a few things, and I feel like because it's a very new technology and it works very differently to anything else we've experienced before. For the programmers or those who write the code, it's easier to adopt it because AI understands exactly language that developers are used to use. But for those folks who are not, doing it on a day-to-day basis, actual prompting AI is a skill on itself. It impacts your quality of the output, it impacts the number of tokens it uses, latency, how long does it take to answer your question or to help you to generate the test cases and so on. I understand the concern and everything else, and I hope your organization will ease up with it. I think the best way to get through people is to do a small POC internally and just to have a goal of that POC is to prove the value. It could be impact analysis, it could be wherever your main bottlenecks are today in your QA processes. Start there. And if AI will help you not only accelerate it and remove the bottleneck, but also improve the quality, catch more defects, produce better coverage, free up your time from writing to reviewing and executing. That's amazing, right? Especially keeping those artifacts up to date can be a bit time consuming. I hope that answers your question.
And Katrina, just to jump in here, and I totally get this question that some organization could be skeptical about AI and how does this add value to the QA, but to the testing community. But what better tool to test this value, right? Maybe for this specific user, they don't see it, that's why they're skeptical. So maybe it's a good tool to use to actually prove out against their own metrics using this tool.
Yes, and it's also a good question from anonymous attendee. Is it primarily for chatbots? No, this was just an example. You can use it for any AI system and even beyond AI, like Joao mentioned previously, can be anything that requires multidimensional scoring of quality. Could be clothes, could be perfume, could be produce, could be automotive, whatever. How's the drill is working? Does it perform great on hardwood, plywood? Go crazy. I think it's really, really useful to have these extra dimensions in certain industries or certain technologies that you are touching.
I've got a quick question here from Nahida asking if this is available to all users or just enterprise. Yes, this is available to all users.
Yes.
And so both cloud and server will get to use this template and the quality rating field, custom field.
Yes, it's available to everyone. Server, cloud, enterprise, professional. And somebody asked, do we just copy paste the AI response in the output space? Yeah, you can copy paste or you can use APIs. And in the future CLI, if you're using some sort of automated process and you have your own AI tool stack to help you with AI evals. Is there a minimum quality score? Well, you don't have to score all the dimensions you specified because some responses might not carry them, like compliance, for example, and you can leave them completely empty. And it's just like you score in a hotel, 1 star, 5 star, or a restaurant. We kind of try to stick with the traditional methods people are more familiar with.
Let me just address one, and this could be part of a bigger conversation, but I see a lot of questions around AI, test case generation, AI automation with TestRail, all of the TestRail AI features, which I get why we're getting this, because this is an opportunity for folks to interact with us and ask about other features. If for some reason you didn't join from the beginning, I addressed that initially. So yes, TestRail has shipped several AI features. So the ability to generate test cases with AI inside of TestRail and the ability to automate test cases with AI. Those are two features that we have shipped in not so distant past. But what we're talking about today is about evaluating AI features. And we touched on another thing, which is evaluating quality on different dimensions, not just about AI, but about other types of use cases and industries, like food, cosmetics, security, performance, things like that, where you have gained with this new field, you've gained an ability to granular rate the quality of the output of whatever that is that you're evaluating. So I just want to put that conversation, I want to bring that up because we're not talking about TestRail AI features. We're talking about a framework, a place where you can have and judge the AI features that you're shipping to users, or any other thing that you want to assess quality on a more granular area. And hopefully that, because I see a few questions that touch on this topic, so hopefully I've addressed it again. That's been useful for folks.
Yes, thank you, Joao. That's very important to make an assumption. Though we used as an example of AI features, it's not our AI features, it's your AI features. So every company is now trying to think how they can incorporate AI into their tech stack, into their features, their products, and therefore, even if you don't test it today, right now, maybe in the next job or maybe in a few months, it will most likely come your way. It's undeniable. It is here to stay with us. It's not going to go anywhere. So we are here just to help you also to understand how different it is to test to traditional deterministic features, and hopefully you will find it useful. And one of the questions, can you give us one example on how you reported an issue to the developer based on a rating and it got fixed? So this is a very good question. One of the examples that came to mind was edge cases for generating test cases with AI. We noticed that it would skip them and wouldn't do it. So we used the traces URL from the lang fuse, which captured our input and output as a collection of cases to include in the Jira defect. And we would say we would like to have edge cases generated by an LLM. And then we assigned it to an engineer. He looked at the traces, he looked at our low scoring for this particular quality, and he adjusted the system prompt. And after that, when we retested exactly the same test cases, it scored 4 or 5 stars instantly because it was a constraint on the system prompt because it didn't explicitly ask an LLM to include edge cases in its responses. So hope this example helps.
We have, I see a question from, or a note from Ivan. I think we have found someone who could use this tool. Is mentioning that we create our own rubric matrix manually with weights and gradation based on whatever model and age or agent skill is being evaluated. The matrix,
Mm.
unfortunately, is quite brittle, but that's only due to the fact that we handle multiple agents and homebrew LLMs. All are done in glorious spreadsheets, forward slash sarcasm.
Yes, this is where we were. I feel your pain,
Exactly.
Ivan. I feel your pain. We did the same because we also, I don't know if folks you're aware, but we have a new exciting AI feature coming up soon on TestRail, which is prioritized with AI. And of course, we use machine learning and LLM in conjunction. So it's not explicitly agent, but it's using quite complex mathematical algorithm when it comes to the scoring engine. And so, yes, before this template, we also had this like matrix of different variables, combinations, and things, and that can influence the weight and the formula. And I hear you, it's quite painful stuff to do. This AI evaluation template, I kind of feel like there is a different ways you can evaluate AI feature, but this is our first step towards enabling you to do AI evals using 1 to 5 scoring. Of course, if you want to use, you can adjust it to the weights. For example, if you're looking for specific formula or specific outcome, you can change that. And of course, as with everything, this is our first step. And that's why we did the polls during this webinar, because we want to discover and find out, since it's a very new hot topic, how do people do AI evals today, what scoring metrics do they use, and this will help us to shape our roadmap and introduce new ways of scoring AI. But typically, this kind of RAG or scoring metrics are done by, I would say, maybe first step by developers, and then only comes to the testing teams. That's how it happens on our end. So we have our AI engineers testing the features first to make sure that they're working correctly and embeddings are done right and LLM gets access to the right context and so on, so on. Or it weights a formula, and then it comes to our QE teams that uses different set of metrics to evaluate it on the overall quality of the output. This is how we do it internally, but everybody is different.
I'm going to take another question from Aravind that asks, does the TestRail Enterprise instance automatically upgrade to version 10.3 when it's released, or do we need to request the upgrade? You don't need to request the upgrade. As soon as your instance is on track for the phased rollout that we usually do, you're going to get that in your instance, and there will come a pop-up side note or a side notification that is going to say like, hey, this is available to your instance, and ask you to try the feature. So you will know once you log in.
There is a
Yeah,
few
go.
questions around model training and security and so on, just to calm everybody down. So our models do not use your data for training on our AI features. And if you want to find more information, we have specifically designed legal documentation that you can read and get familiar how and what is used for what. And this particular features that we've been presenting to you, it's not an AI feature, it's just a template to evaluate AI. Can we get a bulk eval, for example, if we have regression suit, can we get in bulk? Yeah, you just create regression suit and you just run evals against that regression suit as many times as you need to. And then you compare the outcomes because it will keep the history of your test runs. So you can always go back and see if it's improved or not. Or even if you execute in the same test run, but just add in a new results as you rerun your tests against your AI feature after bug fixes or prompt changes, sorry, system prompt changes. And the reason why I'm saying system prompt changes because there is a user prompt, which is what you type in ChatGPT or anywhere else that you use. And there is a system prompt, which is actually it tells the AI in the background to the model on how to respond. And it defines the rules of the game, I like to say. So once the system prompt changes to something done, you can rerun your test, add the new results, and then you can see the scoring, if it's going up or down, and evaluate if the actual fixes did make a difference. Do we need to learn AI, LLM, ML basics to use all these AI features in TestRail? You don't have to be an expert from the technical standpoint, but it does help to understand how those systems work because, and specifically how to prompt them, because prompting is very important skill to have. It's the ability to elaborate. What I like to always say is if you have a new teammate and he joined your project and he's going to help you to test something or to write test cases for you, and if you will delegate this task to them, what kind of information would you provide to this new colleague of yours in order to help them to succeed with the task? It's the same with any AI solution. The more context you provide, the better the outcome will be. And prompting and explaining, and especially if you do vibe coding or automation with AI, it likes to make changes where you don't want it to do. So when I do my prompts or I design my skills, I like to define the rules of the game, and I like to say, do not change X without my permission, do not do that, and stay within those constraints. And I define it as if it was a completely new person to my system, to the way I like to do things. So this would be my advice and recommendation.
Very good. very good point. I stopped sharing my screen, Katrina, because I wanted to. I saw a couple of questions that I think this could be helpful. So the same question I want to answer this as well, because that's one of the resources I was going to highlight at the end. So we're towards the end of the session. TestRail Academy, I always love bringing this up. So you don't need to learn AI, machine learn, all of those to use the features. And to use the features, on to that note, we have built specifically for AI features, we've built uh, guided step by step on how to use the features, how to best leverage the functionality we've delivered. You have other topics like automation and other advanced integrations, but just on the AI in TestRail and the new feature that we have been talking about today, testing AI with the AI evaluation template. Once again, just reminding folks that yes, this can be absolutely phenomenal for evaluating AI, but that quality rating could be used for many different use cases. So the course TestRail Academy, which is for free, and the link it will come into the email that is going to be sent to you after the recording is available for everyone. It's for free. You can join, share with colleagues. You can go through the course at your own pace. That's a fantastic resource that Katrina and the rest of the team put a lot of effort into.
I also wanted to say that, look, folks, we all know it's a very new topic. It's an exciting topic and at the same time can be a bit difficult to grasp. So if you feel like you would like to hear more from Joao and I and talk more about some specific topics on how to test AI systems, how to think of the scope, how to plan the projects and testing of AI, feel free to drop us a line. And I'm sure we will be back with some more useful content for you in the future. That's a plan, right, Joao?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, we're going to spend a whole lot of time together, yeah, Katrina. We have a lot to share, and it's a shame we can't share everything publicly. There's a lot, and you mentioned today AI test case prioritization. That's in the horizon. There's a lot more in the horizon. Really exciting things. We'll try to bring more impactful sessions to you on a regular basis. But yeah, we'll be addressing those needs on a very regular basis. I want to wrap up because we want to respect folks' time. I really appreciate everyone joining and participating in the polls, having all of this cool engagement in the Q&A section. And yeah, thank you again, Katrina, for
Thank you all.
supporting this. I'll be seeing you very soon again.
Thank
Thanks,
you all so
everybody.
much for being here. Thank you. Have a lovely day. Bye bye.